Focus On, Season 4, Episode 31, where we watch American Pickers, Season 14, Episode 10. I'm Chris Lorenz.
Robert Kitts.
Hoarder Max.
This is James.
Noah Singer.
Harrison Hoffman.
ABC.
So we attempt to do a holiday episode this week, and not sure we really succeeded,
Mixed results.
but we tried. We tried. So hence the episode of American Pickers that we've picked.
You know that classic.
That classic.
Nothing says Christmas like an episode of American Pickers.
Do you remember what the title of this episode was? It was something Christmassy.
It was Have Yourself a Merry Pickin' Christmas.
There it is.
Yeah.
Seemed promising.
Seemed very promising.
And then we'll get into how it worked out.
Yeah. Harrison, give us the show description here.
This isn't your grandmother's antiquing. Pickers like Mike Wolf and Frank Fritz are on a mission to recycle America, even if it means diving into countless piles of grimy junk or getting chased off of a gun-wielding homeowner's land. Hitting back roads from coast to coast, the two men earn a living by restoring forgotten relics to their former glory, transforming one person's trash into another's treasure. American Pickers follows them as they scour the country for hidden gems in junkyards, basements, garages, and barns, meeting quirky characters and hearing their amazing stories. If you think the antique business is all about upscale boutiques and buttoned-up dealers, this show may change your mind and teach you a tour thing about American history along the way. That's American Pickers on the History Channel.
All right. Man, we haven't done this segment in a bit. Rob, can you tell me what this show is?
So this show is these two guys who find people who, quote, got some stuff. And they're trying to find hoarders that they can then go through their hoard piles and find mostly like motors and other kind of automotive related things. They're very into signs and
Sellable
What are they doing?
antiques.
they buy them to then, I presume, resell them at a profit.
Yeah. It's a very weird show. They just go to a place, find shit in shit piles, and offer people money for that. And
Sometimes a
presumably,
surprising amount of money.
yeah. And presumably they're able to sell these things, which we don't get to see that piece of this in this show.
We'll get into it. I was kind of disappointed that there was not a more holistic view of the life cycle of some of these things that we were presented.
Yeah. I think there are other episodes where we sort of see stuff getting bought also. Spoilers, doesn't happen in this episode.
Yeah.
You just see the picking.
So let's go over what happens this episode.
All right.
So first we get Mike and Frank sitting in the truck talking about Christmas. We'll get into that conversation about Christmas. And then they go to this giant silo building where this guy's hoarded like a ton of just garbage, like just trash. And they go in and they buy an absurd amount of things for an absurd amount of money. Then they leave that and they go talk to somebody alongside the road and be like, yo, you know any hoarders around here with some cool shit? And they go to this young Santa Claus looking fellow.
Young Santa.
And he's got like this giant warehouse full of literal garbage. Like not even close to being anything of usable quality.
The
And
walls are crumbling.
Literally.
they buy some shit there too. And that was then at the end of the episode, they end up at this really fancy store and it's Christmas. And that's pretty much what happened this episode. It's an anomaly, I think.
There
The
is
episode
some
or
great,
the show?
The show.
there's some great minutia to the show though.
Yeah. So let's start off with this quote unquote Christmas special you got going on here. This is what they've done to make this a Christmas episode. Is that they're interstitials talking about Christmas. So the first one is talking about how Mike has his daughter, and his daughter like talks about Christmas all year round, and they get this giant Christmas list. And then
What a lovable and unique characteristic of a child.
Frank, he's got a cat, and that's his Christmas. He's like, just give it some catnip, and good to go. And there's a great Photoshop picture of him with his cat at the end of the
was good.
episode.
Lounging.
It was great. And then they just like pepper in some Christmas talk throughout the whole episode, and every like fact about something, because this is on history, so it's got to have something history, right, Harrison?
Oh yeah.
Is like somewhat Christmas related. They're always like, yeah, they sold Christmas tree lights in 1888 or some bullshit.
I don't think that was the right year. Pretty
Well, they
sure.
said the first lit Christmas tree was like 1880 something.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't write down the facts, so I don't have.
You were so confident in that delivery, though.
I was close. You know. And then they had like during the like facts, they had like some sort of background painting with like a gingerbread with his arm cut off, which is like.
It was
Is that Christmas-
horrifying. It
is
was.
that-
Let's call it what it was.
Is that Christmassy? I don't know.
It was like, well, it's like a broken item, which I thought maybe represented the kinds of items that they usually encounter on the hunt.
You think
Or, if you will, freestyling.
Yeah.
That's a phrase we learned during this show, dear listeners.
do we learn? Like, do we learn what it was?
I mean, I think we learned what it was. So
Define freestyling for us.
So it seemed like the first guy that they went to go visit, it was sort of like a pre-arranged meetup, and they'd got in contact with this guy in some way. Freestyling is just when you go out in your van and you just try and find someone that has cool shit. So they basically just start stopping places and being like, hey, do you know anyone that has a bunch of old motorcycles or bikes or signs or just a bunch of like stuff that they might want to sell us? So we saw them freestyle in this one.
Okay.
And they give the piece of paper. They got their paper of stuff.
Yeah,
they want.
for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that these people ever actually do that? There's no way. The producers are just out there looking for stuff and getting calls in like, I got a lot of stuff sold in this stupid show. Because we don't offer like, this is season 14. It's not even, there was like 19 seasons of this thing.
You would think that they would have a list of people to visit that is a mile long at this point.
Yeah. There's no way they're freestyling.
I could see it happening season 1, but yeah, I agree. Not
Also,
real anymore.
I could see these guys freestyling occasionally just to kind of get back to their roots, you know, because that's how they
Oh,
started.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know, I could
That's
see
definitely
that.
what they need. Their,
But
their
do they do
roots.
that for the show, or do they just do that on their spare time before the show? They got to pre-plan it and stuff.
Oh, that could be. That could be.
I was thinking maybe the producers sort of identify an area and they know that there's some places there, and they let these guys go out and try to find some leads to the places they've already identified, and then if they fail, they'll just tell them.
Well, is it kind of like The Amazing Race, where like
Maybe.
there's a producer sitting outside the spot and
Right.
they're driving around,
Right.
and then
It's
they
like-
find, oh, there we found it.
Yeah, that could be it. But I do think, like, I assume for most of these people, you get a warmer reception if you've already made contact and they kind of know why you're coming into their place and assessing all of their junk.
With TV cameras.
Yeah, and also you want to make sure they're available. Although the people we saw seem to be available
They're
all the
around.
time.
Yeah, young Santa Claus got quite the schedule. You know, he doesn't have time to just wait around.
There was definitely a comment from young Santa Claus. I don't know what I'm going to do any day of the day I wake up. Like, I don't know. Like,
He's going to the Ozarks.
well, I don't think that guy's moving. To tell you the truth.
He
Yeah,
owns like acres of property with mounds and piles of stuff.
Just
And-
garbage.
stuff.
Literal garbage. Could be make it a landfill.
And it's been there for like he got the place 20 something years ago. And he's just been accumulating all this shit. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get this whole place cleaned out in 2 years, and then I'm moving to the Ozarks. Like, yeah, right. That is not happening.
That's we have to get it. I mean, yeah, the Santa Claus guy is nuts. The fact that they called him Young Santa Claus, it just mystifies me.
There were a lot of very loose Christmas tie-ins, and that was one of the big stretches. Because I don't know if I would see this guy on the street and ever think, oh, that was Santa.
Yeah. Well, so this guy just has like this mangy beard that just is unkempt and is not white. It's just like a dark beard, and he has like, does he wear glass? Like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
so
he
he's
has
got glasses.
Yeah.
He just doesn't look like.
he's got kind of crazy look in his eyes.
Yeah, he does not look like Santa at all in any aspect of the word Santa.
He's
He
got the
looks like-
beard. That's all it is. He's got a big long
He's
beard.
got a big beard that's
but 'cause
not
it's
white.
brown, it's young Santa Claus.
Why wasn't he like junkyard Santa? Like that I could have bought.
Oh, he also didn't have a stomach, you know.
A
Santa-
bowl full
James,
of
you gotta get
jelly.
you as a producer on this show. You're making it better.
It's it can't be that hard.
mean-
You watch enough of this stuff, you're like, all right, like throw a red hat on this guy, a little white tip, boom, Junkyard Santa.
I feel like this guy looks like he walked straight out of the Colony. You're like, man,
Oh,
that guy's
yeah.
been surviving in the post-apocalyptic hack your own adventure thing for months.
He's been trying to survive something, that guy. We just don't know what.
I think his situation would have been a good place to put the colony people.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
there's all this old
interesting.
stuff. It'd be a great set for the colony.
Totally.
The throwback to the colony. So like this young Santa Claus, as we call him, he like just owns this warehouse
Yes.
that he would used to be where he'd go and have a tow truck and tow people and like I don't know what his previous job was. Well, I don't know what he does now. He just has like I guess he does still part things. It's unclear what his actual job is.
It's very unclear how this person sustains himself. He's just we're just presented as here's a guy who owns lots of crap, and that is the beginning and end of what we know about this guy.
Yeah, so you end up in this giant warehouse, which has the ceiling is literally falling apart. And he just stored shit in this building like 30 years ago.
So it used to be some kind of dairy processing thing. So they
Dairy
had a-
fridge or something.
Yeah, it was
Very
like a cooling room.
well,
or
it's a
something.
dairy like building.
So they had this room that had special insulation in it to preserve temperature, and it's like falling apart. There's literally like jagged cement and just like this falling foam that's crumbling.
They literally
it's
get
insane.
a
The room has
shovel.
holes in it. It is collapsing. There are puddles on the ground from the rain, and this stuff is just in water,
Yeah.
rusting away.
Yeah, and what he mostly has is motorcycle parts.
Right.
Like his dream
Old,
job
like,
is
from the
like
30s.
making motorcycles, taking parts from motorcycles, I have to assume that's what he fucking like cares about. I don't know. So he has all these motorcycle parts that were in boxes in this room that just fell apart. So now all the boxes are just all moldy fucking like literal garbage. And all the pieces in them are all just like rusting away. It's kind of sad in one sense, but the other way is just like, yeah, that's what happens when you don't go to a room for like 30 years. Like, what is he doing?
Well, to add to the motorcycle puzzle, when Mike and Frank are the guys'
Yeah.
names, when they come in, they ask him directly. They're like, "It looks like you have a lot of motorcycle stuff. Do you have any like whole motorcycles or just parts?" And he doesn't have any whole motorcycles. It's just all this stuff lying around and like all sorts of disrepair.
Yeah. Like one of the things that they run across that they really wanted was, what do they call it? A power plant, which is like the motorcycle. Or it's not a motorcycle.
It's just the engine.
It's the engine of the motorcycle, of a motorcycle from like 1920s era. And he wouldn't
Pre-war.
sell it. Like he would pre-war.
Pre-war.
It's just an engine. Like
It's just an engine.
It's literally just an engine.
Yeah.
But it was very common pre-war to use this for farming.
Yeah.
As
That
they,
makes sense.
that's what we learned.
Like, this guy is so lucky that these two dudes happen to wander into his rundown warehouse and are offering him, in some cases, thousands of dollars for shit that they're finding in there.
Yo, I have written down what they are.
It
Stuff that
is-
is rusting in a box that he would never have seen again
Like, he will never
before the rest of it, before the end of his life.
He'll never see it. He'll never sell any of this stuff. Like, literally every time they offer Mike for something, it is found money. Like, there was not going to be any money there. And
Well, he's trying to
this-
sell stuff to go to
yeah.
the Ozarks. Harrison.
that's what, like,
Well, that's the thing. That's his plan, right? His whole plan is to sell all this stuff,
But
and
then-
retire in the Ozarks.
yeah, he should have been like 20K all in, just have it. I'm walking away, Ozarks.
He didn't even take all their offers. There was one they offered
Yeah.
him $600. Like, oh, for that, I'm just gonna keep it. I can do something with it. It's like, dude, what are you
Oh.
doing?
All right.
Sell it all.
I got a hot take. In a parallel reality TV universe, did they just
What
find?
shit does that mean? The hell's a
Don't wor-
parallel reality
don't worry
TV
about it.
universe?
Let me go through.
Let him
All right.
propose it.
So, did they just find this place that's all beaten up? Like, they can't find an owner. They find a homeless guy in the street. Hey, can you pretend that you own this? Like, haggle a little bit, pretend you know some stuff, and just, like, sign his contract to go on the show.
Why get a
he
homeless guy?
looked-
Why not get as like a paid actor? Be like $50, come out, wear this fake beard.
There is a world where I could see that, but this guy definitely looks like he owns this shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's no question. Like the things that he had that they offered, the power plant, he offered him $3,200. The dude's sitting in this room, nothing. They're just crumbling around it.
Water is dripping on it.
We could not believe that he offered $3,200
And
for
he's
it.
like, yeah, I bought that about 12 years ago to swap meet. Been wanting to do something with it, but I haven't gotten around to it. And the guy's like, $3,200, and he's like, I gotta think about that.
Like, do you think this dude spent $3,000 on that thing 12 years ago?
Not a chance.
Not even close. And like the other thing that the one guy had cylinders and heads were offered $225. He was like, sure, but like that's just found money.
Oh yeah. Well, though I think it was those like they literally start like breaking down the wall to this dairy farm, and they're like throwing away cardboard and like pulling stuff out, and then they find like a motor.
Yeah.
Like in a puddle, like under the wreckage, and then they offer him the $600 for that, and he won't take it.
6,000.
No, it's
No,
600.
this
600,
was
yeah,
this
you're
one
right.
was 600, but it was just like this was the most obvious example of an item he didn't know he had that is like falling apart. Free money
Yeah. But now he knows he has it and he can not do something with it again.
until he goes to the Ozarks.
Where do you think he put it after those guys left? Like just back in the puddle, or like
He just forgot about it.
He moved into the nicer section of his giant warehouse.
like gee, maybe I should move this thing out at the puddle. Like
Like there was a point where Mike was going through. He's got this shovel and he's like, "This is what I live for." I feel like King Tut's tomb, where I'm just digging out and finding just shit that might be worth something.
I'm the archaeologist.
He's Indiana Jones. Yeah, that's when they found that motorcycle where they did this is where I think we get the reality show editing where they were
for
like,
sure.
"Oh, this motor could be really good. Look, it's got the right serial number. Oh my god!" And then they come back from break and it's like, "Oh no, it's a pile of garbage. I'll give you $600."
Didn't have the ball bearings inside the engine.
It didn't have the
Yeah.
right ball bearings or any ball bearings.
It's a
or
road model, not a
Oh
race
no!
model.
Oh man,
Hard to tell the difference.
hard to tell. You know, maybe you should sell to somebody else that doesn't know either. The other Christmas thing associated with this guy's place. So they go to this nicer section of quote unquote nicer section of the warehouse.
I'm glad you qualified the nicer.
There's like a little less water in this one.
Like the walls aren't crumbling. There's a ceiling that's like functional.
There was like a path to walk through in that warehouse where the other one was just climbing over shit.
Yeah.
Does this guy live in this warehouse?
I don't think so. But
Okay.
if you told me he did, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be the most shocking thing.
Yeah. So on the ceiling was a motorcycle chassis with lights on it. Hence the Christmas tie-in for this episode. And
So I had a question. So, do you think they only called him Young Santa Claus in post because they
Yes.
saw the Christmas lights, realized they had to be part of the Christmas episode, then like, okay, how can we make this more Christmassy? And then they just do some ADR to get him calling him Young Santa Claus.
100% yes.
yeah, I don't think there was a scene where they called him Young Santa in the beginning, but I don't.
To his face, or was it just the voiceover?
I think it was to
or,
his
like-
face, but I don't remember.
okay.
It could possible. It could be all in post because he does not look like Santa Claus. So like that's really weird to me.
We'll return to the topic of Christmas in post, but you know.
Yeah. So then the guy offers him $2,500 for the motorcycle chassis hanging from the ceiling, and he still says no. Yes, Max.
I have to lift the curtain on this. Same thing is true of Pawn Stars. They agree to a price beforehand. So you are not capturing on screen whether that guy is considering yes or no. They already know he is not going to take this deal. They just recreate.
Are you sure? Like, I mean, I believe you. It just seems weird to like,
I can-
oh, you found this pile of garbage somewhere. Let me film you finding it. I mean, like this episode, it completely makes sense.
This
Or,
is
like,
what the internet says.
this segment makes
How
sense.
come?
The first segment would be hard.
Probably legal reasons. I don't know. But I do know that's true of Pawn Stars as well.
But this is like
all
well,
fake.
like in the first section, the guy they were talking with there, every single thing, you're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll give you this much. Like he was just like, there was no.
We'll get it. We have to get it.
No
okay,
haggling.
like there was no doubt in his mind. He's like, I'm selling everything you asked me about.
Maybe
Yeah.
there are like a couple models they can approach people with. That's like we want to go through this stuff with you, whatever, but we can agree to the stuff off camera before we film a deal. And maybe that first guy was like, "Oh, I don't care about that."
Yeah.
Yeah. So after he was offered 2,500, he just offered him 5,700 for both parts. And they end up with $6,000, and he actually sells the stupid shit. Like, I can't believe that. Like, and it didn't look like he really wanted to get rid of any of it.
No,
He has a problem.
I was actually surprised if he was saying no to 5,700. I really thought when they were like, well, what your number is? There's only 300 more. I thought it was gonna be like $10,000.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
I
No,
definitely
he just
expected
knows
more.
he can pull a little bit more out of them.
Yeah, just like
Unless
it
it's
seemed
fake.
like it was a very emotional thing, and so it's like, oh, another 300 is really what over the top. Kind of caught me off guard, but if it's all fake, like Max says, then it makes more sense.
I don't know. I feel like these people aren't good enough actors for that to like look legit most of the time. Anyway, so like after we'll go back in time to the first segment here.
So this was 8 weeks before Christmas. Now we're going to 10 weeks before Christmas.
So-
they made a point.
How do we know that?
They
Because a
put-
huge subtitle comes on the screen in Christmas colors, and it tells you.
There's this weird countdown to Christmas going on.
But it's still like fairly far from Christmas.
Yeah.
We never get to like a week before Christmas or Christmas.
We got to 2 weeks before Christmas.
That's true. But
And
we
then
didn't
they had
actually get to see Christmas.
No. Well, because I don't think they're filming the show around Christmas. Maybe they're actually like
Yeah.
being legit.
But of all the things to lie about, why not that?
It is an odd time for it. So 10 weeks before Christmas, you're like in early October, right? You're in Pennsylvania early October. They seemed pretty hot at the
Yeah.
first guy's place. Like they were sweating up a little bit.
It
Well-
definitely seemed very summery. I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
say.
they're wearing T-shirts the entire time.
The like leaves weren't changing in October in Pennsylvania. I don't know. That's
Questionable.
That's not a green place.
It's really not.
Yeah. So the first place they go to this guy that used to race motorcycles, and he's just got like somehow he just has this old granary old mill full with just garbage, full with just crap. Like it's, and he says he didn't get it that long ago. To be filled with this much crap is like astounding. Like you can't even walk. Like if there's one thing where like you can go to these places, you go walk around, and there's like you can see all the things, and there's like specific spots for everything. You've just shelving and stuff. Okay, I get it. Like you could hoard, but it's like in a comfortable way where you could like find places to put more and more stuff. Nope, just piles of garbage. Like what the hell are you doing?
To be fair, this one did not have crumbling walls. It just had crumbling floors.
That's true. It flooded and like the floor just fell.
the
Flooded
floor
like
caved in.
multiple times.
The-
This was like a reoccurring thing. Like he's in a flood zone.
The guy like starts looking at some of the stuff and he's like, "Man, did it flood in here? Like, there's some water damage or something." Something is like, "Oh yeah, that water was up to my waist in here." And you're like, "Oh."
Oh yeah, it was nuts. Like I just don't understand this mentality. Like at least you need to be able to walk through your shit. You can't just like get a giant pile.
Well, as this guy later tells us, whenever he sees something that he hasn't seen before, he buys it because he's seen everything, and if he hasn't seen it, that must mean that it's like rare and valuable. So, like, just imagine what that kind of life philosophy would do, and then
That's why he's got so much of this random ass shit.
exactly.
All right, let's go through all the stuff that they bought.
They bought
which
a
is-
lot of
They
stuff.
bought a lot of stuff here. So the,
Sign.
Wait,
Sign.
can we all go around in a circle and list a thing that they bought?
Oh, is this like the Tom Hanks game?
Yes.
It definitely is.
I have it written down.
Let's just go through Chris's
Like
list.
I think that's gonna.
It's not as fun.
It's
though.
fine.
It's not going to be great for the audience. I don't think if we're sitting here trying to remember.
No, I think it'll be. We could
We've
do
talked
one
about this
round.
so
Oh no, we're
Do
good.
one
We're good. We're
round.
good. So the first thing they sell is train signs,
Train signs.
where they had like it was like a marble train sign. Rob, do you remember how much these things they were offered?
They started offering 100 for one, and they ended up doing like 175 for 2 or something.
I can't. In what world? It's just
So
it's-
much money.
It's just a sign with like reflective marbles on them,
It's
and the marbles don't
vintage.
even
It's
work. They're not even
cool.
there.
Yeah.
Like, in what world? Who's buying this?
These guys.
Train enthusiasts.
No, but the thing is like these are like they're buying it to sell to somebody else. They're not actually buying it to like do anything with
They
it.
bought a lot of signs.
I just,
There's so many.
this is one of the
signs.
most baffling things I think they bought
So
for the price.
I got a little internet corner tip on why they were moving so quickly on those prices with Bob Shawley.
'Cause that's the guy's name.
Because he was about to die.
So Bob Shawley runs Good Old Boy Country Auctions. He's an auctioneer. So knowing the prices of things is what he does every day. So they knew the prices had to be good, and he was pretty quick on his feet to give back that price.
That's one thing where when you're going through this is like, how do they know the prices of all this eclectic shit? Is
Yeah.
beyond me. You just have to
Because
really
they're
be.
organizing it ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some amount of research that is happening off camera that
There
we're not
has to
seeing.
be.
There's like they're looking at the serial number of that engine. Like they're definitely checking some stuff out.
Oh, this is a 39 WLDJR 1506. That's wild.
But then sometimes they're like, we know people love feed signs.
Yeah. So the next
What?
thing they like other things on the list: feed signs.
Yep.
I didn't write down how much they bought.
I mean, they were like $50. For
They're
these
like
feed
50.
signs.
Yeah.
There was a lot of money for the feed signs.
I couldn't believe it.
I mean, like,
Kids, everyone loves this kitschy shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, I
Not
definitely see
everyone.
signs as being some of the more popular things you could buy at one of these antique places. Like of all the shit that they purchase, like I can maybe see myself having getting a cool looking sign.
But are you gonna pay like $100 for a feed sign?
I mean, I'm not personally going to pay $100 for a feed sign, but I just think that like it's one of the more useful things that they're trying to flip around here.
That's
No,
such
no,
a
The next thing I wrote down is a drafting table, $100. That seems quite reasonable.
Like after what they paid for other stuff, $100 for the drafting table seemed cheap. I was like,
Yeah, they were
you should
setting
be
them-
offering like $400 for the drafting table.
They bought like a gas lamp. This was the Christmas tree thing for like $30. Like, what is he gonna do with that? Like, like you're gonna hook up gas to it again? Like, what?
No.
Like, what?
You're not gonna do
This
anything
is
with any of this
completely
stuff, Chris.
Broken gas thing.
They're gonna take the stuff and they're gonna put it in this van, and they're gonna drive it to a dump,
Is there like?
and that's the end of it. This show is just a charity. That's all it is. I figured it out.
is
They're
there
just
like-
gonna give them people that are down on their luck. They got a bunch of crap. They can't get rid of it. They're like, I don't know. We can write it off as a charitable donation. Let's just give these guys some money. We'll take a couple of pieces of junk away. We'll just take it to the dump.
Is there like a 10 years from now? Like, look at what American Pickers picked that was worthless to pick again.
Like, what
Like
does the
American
Internet Corner
Pickers
have
come
to say
back
about
to
this? Like, the
themselves?
internet would probably know this, right? Like, where does the stuff end up?
I'll
Like,
give- I'll
it's
give
got
that.
it. Like, the
ends
odds of
up
it being in the
their-
dump is high.
It ends up in their antique store. It ends up at auctions, probably. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, also probably some of it does probably go to a dump when they can't sell it eventually.
I just think, like, the money, if you start looking at the money here,
Well, they also talk about they're leaving one guy's place and they're like, yeah, we got a lot of stuff and we know the buyers we're going to call. Like, I think they have like a big network.
I mean, I hope so.
So
'Cause,
the-
like, what else are they doing?
Some other things they're trying to. They bought a drill press for $30. They bought a couple wheels for $25 a piece
Oh, yeah, to make tables.
to make something
holes
out
in
of them.
them.
Like a wooden wheel, to be
They're
clear.
wooden wheels. Yeah, sorry. Some of the stuff is literally garbage. Like, I don't know what you do with any of it. A PA sign for $100. Like, there was some more feed signs for $125. There was an elephant wine bottle for $20. There's chairs, which he offered like $20, and he was like, no, $40 a piece. At
Yeah.
some point, like they were going up in price.
Yep.
He's like, I'll take all 6 at $40 a pop.
Yeah, they were negotiating against themselves multiple times in this episode.
There was one point where didn't he say you could take that for free? Like,
Yeah.
no, I'll give you $20.
I think that was the wine bottle.
Yeah.
That was the wine bottle.
Then they got this trunk for $325. What the what? Like what?
No, it's a
You should have-
Hershey's trunk. It's very special.
But like, you should be paying them to take that fucking trunk away, not them paying for you for it.
I don't think we've mentioned that this guy was also looking to move in a couple years or like sell the mill, which also seems so unreasonable.
This guy has a much better chance at it than the other guy.
I just don't understand how you come to be in possession of a mill or of like that crazy junkyard dairy warehouse. Like, how does this happen?
I don't remember who it was, but someone said, sell them whatever they want and then burn this place to the ground.
Yeah, that was me.
was
And I
you.
stand by it.
My favorite item though of the whole two sets.
Oh, yes.
Was a dog pooping lawn ornament that they got 80 for 2.
Yep.
They're like, it's never used. There's no dirt on it. I'm like, because
There's
you
definitely
can't,
dirt
you can't clean it. And there was a segment where he was touching the dog literally had like a little poop thing. Like it looked like there's a little
Sticking
poop.
out of the butt.
And
we
Annabeth
call those Yule logs here.
and Annabeth was freaking out, like, don't touch that. And I was like, it's just a metal thing.
Those signs are
It was
great.
gross.
Yeah, the signs might have been the best deal. I think that they were like, if they were kitschy.
But that was like a item you could use.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have that problem, but you know,
But
if I
you
did,
Yeah.
If they
You'd use it.
if they refurbished the Hershey trunk, those actually go for a lot of money. Like
Oh,
those chests, it can easily double the price on that.
And like, I can see Max buying that dog thing for sure.
yeah, that's all the stuff that I wrote down that they bought. I don't think I might have missed something. Who knows? They bought a lot of crap. This was in like a 10 minute segment.
No, so a little more tip from the internet corner. They spent roughly 12 hours at Shawley's place going through all that stuff.
Is there like a wiki page for like behind the scenes on this show?
This is from a local Pennsylvania blog that I found that did an article on this.
That's nuts. So like we picked the best episode because somebody actually gave a crap and wrote down what happened.
Hey, what can I say?
Apparently.
And 12 hours picking through that place. That's a tough day. A very tough day.
It could be 2 days though.
Okay, either way,
Still.
that's still brutal.
But they love it.
They definitely don't look like they look legitimately happy while they're doing this. There doesn't seem to be an act while they're like going through all this shit, literal shit, and like finding stuff to sell.
They're the archaeologist going into King Tut's tomb. Yeah,
The Indiana Jones.
that's right. Do we got to talk about the snake?
Oh, I forgot about the snake. Yeah.
Well, when Annabeth mentioned being freaked out, then it reminded me of the snake. Tell me about the snake, Chris.
Okay, I'll tell you about the snake.
For the love of God, somebody tell me about the snake.
Noah, what's that guy's name?
Bob Shawley.
Bob goes up. He's like, "Let me show you this thing," and it's like against the wall behind this giant like platform, thick kind of thing. He moves the platform thing, and then behind the platform is just a snake on like a string connected to the ceiling. So it just kind of like flies out a little bit, and the dude like freaks out because like it's just like a snake.
It's a snake
Yeah.
jumping out at you, basically.
Yeah, essentially. And I thought it was, and they had like a hissing sound.
That was
that
the key.
really sets it off for us as viewers that like there's an actual snake there. But like, I was like, oh, that was dumb, but
Fake snake.
fake snake.
I mean, I guarantee you that they have come across real snakes and real nasty
Yeah.
pests
Harrison,
in
perhaps
these situations.
I can't believe this place isn't just infested with rats.
Yeah.
You're digging through water, like there's all kinds of things.
Oh yeah.
There's got to be a raccoon in one of these piles.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
There's been a lot of raccoons rummaging around in these places, it seems like.
They do. I am a little alarmed that they don't use gloves. Like they're
Really, no
also-
protection at all of anything of any sort.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have some like pest control people come in a couple days beforehand to like, you know, make their filming a little easier.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Maybe, but also these buildings are like falling apart. Like you couldn't get rid of the infestations that they could have.
I agree with you, But-
mean, there's a very kind of clear method to what these guys are doing. They're going in, they're picking, they're finding stuff, they're making deals, they're shaking hands. If there's any interruption and taking off gloves between the picking and the handshake to seal the deal, you could lose that deal.
Gotta seal the deal.
You can't.
The handshake. The handshake blows my mind.
You gotta handshake it.
There's so many they handshake after every deal.
Yeah,
so
for
there's just
sure.
Constant handshake.
You know, it's not a real deal unless there's a handshake.
It's true. It's very true.
Whenever you go to CVS,
Hey, you've been stealing that toothpaste all these years.
yeah, Max goes to CVS, just reaches over, shakes their hand, and walks away. they don't have the heart to call the cops.
Man, I wish my phone
What you
did that to
buying?
pay for stuff instead of Face ID. Just like a handshake sensor, and then you just.
You just put it in the air.
Yeah. So I guess do we have any other minutia before we get into the last segment?
So we got into the minutia of the fact that like this holiday episode starts with them talking about Christmas, and clearly they filmed them driving around in the van talking about Christmas like months after they filmed these episodes. It's just like it's so weird that they made a point to make it a holiday episode when there's so little that's holiday themed what they actually did, and they're like. They have a train sign, so they cut away to stuff about trains and Christmas. That's just nothing to do with Christmas, what they're doing. So weird. I felt very misled by the thing. I also wish they'd had, so, you know, they make all these deals with the guy at the first place. I want a summary at the end of how much money did they spend and how many things did they buy, and just give me a little bit of info about that. It's just like, no, they put a graphic on the screen that they sold one thing for $100. They're like, we could get $200 for it. That's $100 profit. And it's like, I want more of that. I want more of like how this like the totals of what's going on and stuff. And they really let me down with that.
I
The receipt would be cool.
from what I gather is it was a rare anomaly to have to go to that Bob's place
Yeah.
where you bought like 12 things. I think it's more along the line of Young Santa, where they buy like 3 things. 'Cause each thing they bought at Young Santa's, they did do that. They were like, "Oh, I bought this." They did have an infographic for like, "Oh, I bought this for $6,000 and everything is
But
worth."
I want to summer. I want to at the
$8,000.
end. We left Big Santa's place. Big Santa. We left Young Santa's place, and this is the total amount of cash we handed him. I want a shot of them with just a wad of bills, like handing it to him, like you
That
know.
would be pretty good, except they probably don't hand them wads of cash. But
No,
Dude,
they,
For the
Oh,
TV
yeah.
show, they should.
they made it very clear. We pay cash
For sure.
to Kevin, a.k.a. Young Santa.
okay, I've been proven wrong. I agree with you. There needs to be more that like you bought this fucking dumbass sign that I think is worthless for $100. What the fuck did you do with it?
Yes.
I need to know. That you're missing the second
I
half
just
of the
want to
show.
know what they did with anything.
It's just like that's just not how the timelines work with how this show is made. I think. I mean, this stuff just goes and sits in their shop, and then someday maybe somebody buys one of those signs for $150, but it's mostly just kind of hanging out.
We need that, like, so you got the American Picker Show. Then we need the American Seller Show where they fucking sell all this fucking garbage they just bought.
I mean,
what they did with that.
I got to say, this is at least a progress on Antique Roadshow, where they just appraise and don't actually have the money. At least here, they're shutting out the cash.
It's true. They're actually buying it. But it, you
we
know,
think.
well, assumingly, like, we don't actually know that they bought any of this. Like, as I was thinking, you watch the like, Young Santa segment, and they're like, well, they could have just had somebody come in beforehand. He put this motor over here, this nice shot here, and put this chassis up here, and we'll pretend, you know, that we're buying this stupid crap, which I think could legitimately have been a thing. Like, there's no, like, it's not like some of the other stuff they were pulling out of fucking, like, literal cardboard garbage waste. They didn't buy any of that. So I was like, because the one motor looked in a pretty good spot right away. I don't know how it got there. I don't remember if they moved it there or not.
Yeah. They found a lot of different motors that were just in water, and they didn't buy any of those.
Shockingly. Shocking.
What if there was a mechanism where you could buy the stuff on the show?
I don't want any
That's
of that.
called eBay.com.
Maybe for like
That's
another...
what the show should be. How do we get like all this stuff tagged and out of these buckets of water and like registered and selling this crap? Like
Yeah, but-
this dude's trying to move the Ozark. Like, all right, we're gonna inventory this stuff. We're getting photos. We're selling online.
Right. The fact they haven't done like a Hoarders this crossover episode is insane.
Well, it's like
Or, like,
Storage Wars.
What about like Marie Kondo this crossover?
What would Mary Kondo do when she saw this place?
She would just die.
Yeah. Yeah.
She just light a match. No joy here.
So I have a thought on why this is Christmas themed.
Okay.
So they taped this some time ago, right? And they got their season planned. Head honchos at the History Channel, they're like, hey, we're putting a slate together of Christmas shows. We need you to come up with something in 3 months. They're like,
Yeah, 100%. That's what happened.
No, it's
they're like, we're done. Honcho's like, figure it out. And they come up with this patchwork bullshit.
And they picked the 2 picks that they had that there was some sort of tangentially Christmas related thing, and they wrapped them in the same episode, put some, small little segments and fun facts and recaps from. They even had recaps from other picks and other episodes where they had found Christmas related things. They're just like, any shred of Christmas information is coming in this episode.
Yeah, this is Sunday Night Leftovers History Channel edition.
So I feel on the History Channel thing, this show I think is better than most History Channel shows of actually trying to sprinkle a little interesting history into it. It felt less arbitrarily forced, or in the case of Truck Night, totally just not present. And actually, like, there was some like cool little history tidbits sprinkled there. So good job, History Channel, on that.
Well, this is season 14. So, like, the
Hopefully they know what
show
they're doing.
started when History Channel actually reality shows had to be, like, more history focused versus, like, Truck Night started, like, a year ago or
years
whatever.
ago, yeah.
And it's like, fuck it, we're a reality show TV channel now, and, like, people love trucks. Whereas this is, like, we're a History Channel, we're going to have a reality show. And I do agree with you that there is definitely, like, they show a product. It's like, here's history around, like, things around this product, or not product, garbage. They show this garbage, and they're like, well, this is how the garbage got here. And, like, that's...
The origin of the trash.
and it's pretty informative sometimes. I like that piece. That was kind of, I agree with you, it was pretty positive. Anything else that we really need to say about this show? Oh, the last segment. We didn't talk about the last segment where 2 weeks before Christmas.
2 weeks till
2
Christmas.
weeks till Christmas. They have Mike, Frank, and 2 random
Danny.
women. And
Do you think they're more involved in some other episodes?
They are.
So
They're
The
just these
coordinator definitely
randos,
is.
like we're supposed to know who they are. We're like, who is this?
yeah, like if you've seen the show, they're kind of managing the store and kind of like the business end of this thing while these 2 guys are out finding shit.
they did. One of them was in early in the episode for like 5 seconds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danny was like,
Was she in one of the flashbacks? Or?
no. There was like a call before the first
Oh, there
segment.
was a call.
Yeah.
Oh.
Of like,
Yeah, there's
hey, this is where
definitely-
you're going to go.
There's definitely usually some kind of like, hey, we got a call from some dude and we got a tractor at a farm down wherever. You guys got to go check it out. And yeah.
Yeah, that's the one person's job. I don't know what the other person does. Anyway, there was a segment seated early on that how was that Frank always wanted a Kiss lunchbox, and he never got one. And there was Mike making a joke. If you walked over like 10 Kiss lunchboxes that you didn't buy, which you could have easily bought, and it was like, it's different when somebody gives it to you.
Chekhov's Kiss lunchbox.
So at the end of the episode, you see him getting a gift wrapped, and it's clearly a lunchbox. And you're like, oh, he's getting that Kiss lunchbox. What was it, Rob?
The Fonz lunchbox.
Well, like, what the fuck garbage is this?
What's inside?
He was like, it's the closest we could find. What?
What?
What's the connection
Lies.
between Kiss
What?
and the
How is it
Fonz?
close?
Not
It's a lunchbox.
It was autographed, and they're like, "Check out that autograph." He's like, "Oh,
And
how
then-
do
He
you
was
like
like,
about it now?"
"Hey."
Then they're like, "Are you feeling it?" Very awkward pause. And then he's like, "I could see myself feeling it."
Starting to feel it,
Yeah.
not even feeling it.
And then he goes, how much do you think this is worth?
Yeah, it was. That was just crazy to me. Like, how much more expensive do you think a Kiss lunchbox was versus this Fonz lunchbox?
You think
This
that's what
one's
it was? That they
autographed.
were like the Kiss lunchbox is too expensive. Let's get the
I don't understand why you would either one. Like, do they just have a Fonz lunchbox in the back? They're like, bring it out as a gift.
sign it. Say it's signed by the fans.
Bring it to Pawn Stars.
they went to Pawn Stars, bought a Fonz lunchbox from them.
Yeah. So like another thing that like we were trying to find, take a step back. We were trying to find some show to watch tonight.
Oh, we're letting people behind the curtain.
Behind the curtain, and we're like, well, we don't really want to do another like competition show. All of the holiday shows are competition shows. We've been doing a lot of them. We're getting a little stale in our and
Holiday baking bullshit number 32.
We've done a
Whatever.
lot of crafty competition holiday themed shows.
Fuck that.
And Max might have murdered someone if we did another one.
yeah.
so we're looking for what if one has like a holiday special?
Mm-hmm.
So like we found American Pickers as a holiday special. We also found that Pawn Stars has a holiday special, but their holiday special was just a recap of the season. And like there aren't that many reality shows with like a Christmas episode.
That's true.
That
I'm
we could
sure
find.
that's not true.
You didn't find
Terrace
one for
House.
us. The Terrace House.
Terrace
Wow.
House is the answer to all your questions.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Well, on that note, do we have any other minutia? Max, you got more minutia?
I've been thinking about the handshake, and I have a theory.
Okay.
All right. You go in for the handshake. The other guy goes in for the handshake. Both of your Apple Watches light up. Every time you shake, you transfer $1.
Just shaking for a long time for that $6,000 deal.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like a double tap shake.
You had me until you forced in this dollar constraint for an arbitrary reason.
Just you tap your watch, $6,000. Shake.
No, you have to
confirm.
It's
shake.
like that.
Okay, so you
And
say-
it activates Siri, and you say the number, and that's how much it is.
Max has just described the movie Just in Time. Except
Oh
not
my God.
money, it was time of your life.
That movie is better than I expected it to be.
It was surprisingly
It
better
looked,
than
it looked
I feel
like
it
garbage,
looked.
and
Yeah.
it was meh.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an okay.
I've not seen it.
It was watchable.
Watchable.
Middle third.
I'll give it
Middle
to you.
third. It's a
Speaking
solid
of
middle third.
what do we think of American Pickers?
Oh man, I don't want to go first. Harrison, you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first.
Set the tone.
I mean, I think that this is going to be a middle third show. Like, it's kind of, if it's on, it could be interesting to watch a few minutes of it, learn a little history, make fun of, some stuff that's, like, questionably valuable. But I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it. I don't know, middle third show.
All right, Annabeth, what do you got?
I would also say middle, maybe like a low middle, because I liked it, but I don't really care about anything that happened here. So that's my take.
James, what do you got?
Here's the thing. I agree with what you said, but I disagree with your rating. This is going to the bottom third. I'll give it a top because it's an you can get through it. It's not offensive or anything really, but it's just nothing that pulls me in. Nothing that I don't need to watch or care to watch any more of it. So it's in the bottom. It's in the bottom of the bucket.
All right, what do you got for us, Noah?
Yeah. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrendous that I can't go in the bottom. But it's low bottom, low middle. Because I think the show can be good. I love Rob's idea of having the receipt. And similar to Antique Roadshow, like, show us the wholesale. Like, let us get into the picture of the journey of the item.
So middle of the bottom.
Bottom of the middle.
There you go. Max, what do you got for us?
Bottom of the middle, whatever.
That is very descriptive
Very
of
succinct.
this. Yeah,
Very succinct.
very accurate.
What do you got, Rob?
I'm with James on this one. I'm putting this one in the bottom. I did not find looking through trash that exciting, and the payoff that could have maybe sold me on it never came. And like Noah compared to Antique Roadshow, like Antique Roadshow, I definitely found more interesting in terms of like let's just talk about the interesting things. And there was a lot of this. I found a lot of this show was just wasting time on the less interesting things. Even though there were a couple of moments where it's like when they offered $3,200 for that messed up engine, it like kind of blew my mind. But I think that would probably get old after you watch it. So bottom third.
All right. I'm conflicted. I think it's bottom or middle, but I'm leaning toward bottom because I had a lot of fun watching it with everyone here. Because we made fun of all the stuff that was happening. That was fun. If we did that every week, that would be like a middle third experience. But like, I think it's a bottom third. Like, I don't give a fuck. What do the people do with this garbage? Literal garbage. What do you do with it? I need to know. I need to know more, like, to get invested in any of this. So we're gonna put it in the bottom because I don't understand.
I feel like Chris loves to say this show was garbage, and that this time there was literal garbage. So it was
Literal
super
garbage. They bought garbage. It wasn't even just there was garbage in the show. They
For
bought it.
$6,000,
They bought garbage. So yeah.
I got a great segue for you now.
All right.
Speaking of shows that had a Christmas episode, do you want an update on The Masked Singer?
I need to know who is unmasked.
So
I do know who Christmas Tree is.
So there's a little bit to unpack. Sorry, James. There's been 3 unmaskings since last week.
Let's roll through it.
Wow.
So as quick as we can. Not an unmasked thing, but T-Pain was a guest judge who was the winner of season 1, which was great. Not that much T-Pain in the episode, which I must only assume he was actually kind of terrible, because why else would you be giving us more Ken Jeong and not T-Pain? So
I don't think he would have been terrible. He's incredible.
I don't know. But the Fox did the Blame It song, which is Jamie Foxx featuring T-Pain. So they had a great shot of T-Pain going, oh yeah, this great song here. So the Christmas tree got unmasked. So Chris, do you know who Anna Gasteyer is?
No.
She used to be on Saturday Night Live, like in the Will Ferrell era. And it was a funny thing of she apparently did a live musical thing on Fox one year with Ken Jeong, and Ken Jeong was like, man, I didn't know what a great singer you were. And then he had no clue it was her. So it chooses the theme of like lots of these people know Ken Jeong, and then he has no clue who they are when they're in the masks. Anyway. So then we had the double unmasking, and we had Thingamajig, your favorite,
Oh,
Chris.
my favorite. You sent me a snap of what the fuck that actually looked like, and I was like, okay, all right,
I told you I'd show you what Thingamajig looked. Now you know.
that's a thing.
So last week I was like, Thingamajig is Montel Jordan. Me and Robin Thicke were convinced he's like tall but really good singer. They kept pushing athlete stuff, and it's like athletes aren't this good singer. So he was Victor Oladipo, who was an NBA star, and it's shocking that he was really good, and he's actually an athlete. So like, it's blown the theory that all the athletes get kicked off early because he was actually pretty good. And then our final unmasking was the Leopard, who had definitely had some RuPaul kind of vibes to him.
Misleading.
But weeks ago, without doing any research, Emmy was like, this is Seal. And Emmy was right. So Seal was unmasked on The Masked Singer.
Remind me of who Seal is.
So I don't actually, I
Kiss
can
by a
tell you
Rose.
a single song, but except that I know Seal was in the Pop Star movie.
It's
and he's kind of got like a scar
the
on
Kiss
his
by
That's
a
the one
Rose
that
guy?
you would know. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that song.
There you go. That's Seal.
From Batman Forever.
Yeah, this is why I don't watch that show because I don't know who the hell any of these people are.
So we got 3 left. We got the Flamingo and the. I mean, I have no clue who the Flamingo is, but the judges are. Many judges are convinced it's someone from something called the Cheetah Girls, so it's probably some rando. We don't know who it is. We got the Rottweiler left, who the judges suggested, I mean, I think is plausible, is Darren Criss, who was on Glee and was on Versace, the follow-up to People vs. OJ. And me and Robin Thicke are on Team Max that the Fox is Wayne Brady.
Has to be Wayne Brady.
Who's gonna win?
Oh.
I'm
Literally, look up the Fox. It's Wayne Brady.
Don't look things up.
Don't
because
go to the internet
final
corner.
was tonight.
so I'm
Oh.
so
Okay,
I'm
okay.
I'm
Yeah.
leaving this apartment and going home to watch The Masked Singer.
Okay.
'Cause I
Can't
can't
you're gonna
get
be
spoiled.
spoiled.
I know the internet corners is looking right at me right now. I'm nervous about it. I hope the Flamingo doesn't win. 'Cause the Flamingo's some rando I don't know. That's not exciting. None of them seem like they're going to be as exciting as T-Pain. Though I'll share this. Emmy's mom threw out something I don't believe, but would be amazing. That the Rottweiler is Mark Wahlberg.
Ooh.
Marky Mark.
Oh.
Yeah,
I went and watched some old Marky Mark YouTube videos, and I don't see it. But we'll see, you know.
Mark L. Wahlberg or Mark Wahlberg?
No,
Or Mark Classic.
Mark OG Wahlberg.
Wow. Okay.
Are you excited for season 3? You ready for this train to keep rolling?
I'll probably get sucked into season 3.
Oh, there is no chance you were not getting sucked into season 3.
I mean, the first episode's after the Super Bowl, so I'm sure I'll watch it. And,
Oh, that'd be fun.
So talk about a much better show. Watchmen
Oh,
ended
I'm on
last
board.
week. So good. Definitely, it was a little iffy when I mentioned it last time, but it definitely ended. And it is amazing. Highly recommended.
I am 2.3 episodes in, and I think it's a better story than the original already.
It's very good.
real good.
Yeah. I guess that's it for us this week. Or Noah, you
I
want
just
to?
want to pour some out for Silicon Valley. The series ended.
Yeah.
And Kumail is now ripped as fuck. So I guess that's the moral of the story.
Yeah. Get
That-
rich,
that-
get ripped.
Yeah.
That's the moral we got, everyone. All right, you can find us on Twitter. We're taking a couple weeks off. I guess we'll tease this. Rob, what is our theme for next month?
we're teasing the theme.
Let's
So
tease the theme.
I'm pretty excited with this theme, and I give credit Max here with the name for it. We're going to do Doppelganger Month. Every show is going to be similar, but not quite a show we've already done.
So
One
we're
each
gonna.
week, a similar one.
So for an example, we did X on the Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Now MTV
Whoa, whoa,
has
whoa. We can't be spoiling our own podcast, Chris.
It's fine.
We're
Peak
teasing. We're
of
teasing.
Love.
How is that a tease? You just spoiled it.
That's a tease. We're gonna watch Peak of Love.
You don't know what other stuff we got planned for Doppelganger
We got a
Month.
lot of other plans for Doppelganger Month. James, you're very excited about the other plans for Doppelganger Month.
Yeah.
We're
We're
not
not
gonna
excited
spoil
about
it.
spoilers.
Yeah, so we're not going to say what the other ones are, but you're going to be excited, James.
We're
You're
teasing-
going to love Doppelganger Month.
So we'll be back in January with Doppelganger Month, and you can tweet us suggestions at Hoopithason. You can find us on Facebook.com/Hoopithason. You can email us questions and more suggestions at Hoopithason@gmail.com, and we'll see you guys next time.
Christmas episode Santa Claus check.
By getting